Imagine introducing a perfectly good, totally selfless person into the center of modern society. We tend to assume they would act as a moral compass, a healing presence that fixes the broken people around them. Fyodor Dostoevsky had a different hypothesis. He believed dropping a purely good person into a flawed society wouldn't bring peace. It would cause mass destruction. To test this, Dostoevsky wrote The Idiot. The protagonist is Prince Lev Nikolaevich Mishkin, a man who is penniless, returning to Russia after years isolated in a Swiss clinic, where he was treated for severe epilepsy and idiocy. Mishkin is what Dostoevsky called a positively good man. He represents the absolute ideal of Christian goodness. He has no ego, he wears no social mask, and he is essentially incapable of telling a lie. In the world of the St. Petersburg elite, this radical honesty creates a vortex of violent obsession and social collapse. The novel forces us to confront the possibility that pure goodness, in its rawest form, functions as a weapon of mass destruction. 19th century St. Petersburg high society is a closed social ecosystem. It is a machine running entirely on the friction of greed, pride, and polite lies. Everything has a price. Human lives are traded for status, illustrated by the clerk Ganya, who is willing to marry a woman he despises for the sake of a 75,000 ruble dowry. This transactional logic extends to their entertainment. In one scene, the guests play a parlor game where they must confess their worst actions. But instead of genuine vulnerability, the guests share curated minor mistakes to hide their true sins. Prince Mishkin acts as a frictionless variable in this system. He doesn't play by these rules. He speaks to generals and footmen with the same raw sincerity. The elite mock him as an idiot, yet they are magnetically drawn to him, desperate for the relief of someone who demands nothing in return. Introducing a variable that refuses to participate in social friction doesn't elevate the surrounding hierarchy. It instantly destabilizes it. The most volatile person in this system is Nastasia Filipovna. She is a victim of childhood exploitation, defined by a trauma so deep it has manifested as an intense, suffocating self-loathing. This psychological damage takes center stage during her birthday party. A wealthy merchant named Rogozhin treats her like a commodity, throwing down 100,000 rubles on the table to literally bid for her as his bride. While the room watches this transaction, Prince Mishkin intervenes. He doesn't offer money. He offers to marry her out of pure, selfless compassion. He looks at a woman the rest of society considers ruined and declares her entirely innocent. Nastasia rejects this salvation. To accept the prince's pure love, she would have to forgive herself, and her trauma prevents her from believing she is worthy of that grace. Mishkin's pure goodness offers no comfort to Nastasia. Instead, it acts as a blinding, unbearable mirror reflecting her own perceived worthlessness. She eventually flees with Rogozhin, sacrificing herself to his darkness, specifically to keep the prince pure. In her world, destruction is a more comfortable choice than the weight of unearned grace. Nastasia is trapped between two opposing forces. On one side is Rogozhin, representing dark obsession and destruction. On the other is Mishkin, representing pure pity and the promise of salvation. Despite their rivalry, Mishkin and Rogozhin act as spiritual twins. They represent two absolute extremes of the Russian soul, seemingly incapable of existing without the other. Their connected fate is cemented in Rogozhin's gloomy house. There, they view Hans Holbein's painting of the dead Christ, a brutal, hyper-realistic depiction of a battered, decaying corpse in a tomb. Mishkin realizes that staring at the uncompromising physical decay of the world is enough to shatter a person's faith. This realization mirrors the tragedy of his own epilepsy. The fleeting, transcendent visions of harmony he experiences right before a seizure cannot survive sustained contact with the crushing, materialistic ugliness of the real world. By trying to save everyone through radical honesty and pure pity, Mishkin fails completely. His boundless compassion only accelerates the disaster. By constantly forgiving Rogozhin, he fuels the merchant's jealousy. By offering Nastasia endless pity, he only deepens her self-hatred. The tension finally snaps in the novel's dark, violent climax. Driven by passion and deep jealousy, Rogozhin murders Nastasia. When Myshkin discovers her body, his mind breaks. The shock of a world too broken to be saved drives him out of his mind, reverting him permanently back to a state of neurological idiocy. Dostoevsky famously wrote that beauty will save the world, but the idiot is his clear warning that divine goodness is utterly incompatible with human society as it currently exists. Dostoevsky's final takeaway is a chilling psychological reality. We are wired by pride and trauma to fear, mock, and destroy the very purity we claim to desire. In the end, virtue without power is not a cure, but a catastrophe.